Okay, I'll introduce myself first. Hi, this is Indigo Martinez, and this is Behind the Mic with Indigo Martinez. My partner in crime is
Coach Timeri. Welcome.
This is a discussion about colorism and race or racism. It started basically because I had a question that I wanted to ask my brother here from another mother. And it's basically from a song by Curtis Mayfield, and it's when Curtis Mayfield was with the Impressions. I'm probably going to mangle the lyrics a little bit, but I think you'll get the idea. It started out by saying, if you have a choice of colors, which one would you choose? Would you be white or would you be black? Which one would you choose? And that's something that I've thought about a lot during the years. So my brother and I are going to have that discussion today. Ty, let's start out with you, and I'm going to ask you the question and then you ask me the question. How's that?
Okay.
If you had a choice of colors, my brother, which one would you choose? Would you choose to be white or would you choose to be black?
Are those my only two choices? That'd be my first question.
Well, you can't cheat the question. You're trying to cheat the question.
Okay. This just for comic relief. If I had, I would first ask myself a question. What is the biggest green flag that you are going to make the right choice today? I would ask myself, what's the biggest green flag?
And the answer is?
That biggest green flag is the solution would be go deep to get the jewels, go deep to get the gems, go deep. And if I'm going deep, I'm going to say two things. When I was a child, my first reaction to that question would have been, man, I wish I was white. Because I remember saying it many times as a preteen and even a teenager, around 16-ish, 17-ish. However, and you could probably agree with this, but I'll let you answer. As time got on, as life went on, and I had more experiences and met more people, and I traveled the world, and I've coached people, I've been on jobs and tours and truckings and roads, and I realized that I was coming back to or becoming the true identity of which I was created to be, which is black. And there is no other thing and no other experience that I would want to experience unless I am empathizing or putting myself in someone else's shoes for the benefit of walking in their shoes, to relate to them, to congregate with them, to commune with them, to connect with them. I believe the journey I've been on has been exactly for that reason. A black king on a specific journey back home to the ring and the robe, the celebration of us, self, me, we, the unity of that origin. That's where I'm at now with it. For lack of a perfected speech, this was off the cuff speech. This is just straight from the depths and the breadth of my heart right now to answer that for the first time with clarity.
Okay, so I'm taking a lesson out of his book, and I'll answer the question this way. I have a two-part answer. The first part is, when I was younger, yes, I wanted to be white. And then when I got older and I realized just how special it was for me to be who I was and be black, that changed. Now I'll go into the explanation. So I was born in a small country in Central America called Belize. We migrated from Belize when I was at the tender age of 12 years old to New York City. Before that, I never had a problem with my race, so to speak, because most of the people that I was around was black like me, and pretty much I shared the same culture with them. So as far as that is concerned, I was protected in that cocoon, so to speak, or that bubble. Migrating to the United States, it was almost immediately I started realizing that being black was a problem. It was everywhere, on television, in the streets, in conversations. It was everywhere. Colorism or racism, bigotry, however you want to frame it, became something that I had to deal with. And for me, in the early stages, what I experienced was prejudice against my own kind. So, yeah, that's the long answer of, yeah, when I was younger, I wanted to be white, but as I got older and I discovered just how special, and I want to preface it this, that you understand, it wasn't just about being black in skin color. It was about me and how special I was as a black man. That's what convinced me that I would choose to be black.
The aspect I'll expand on is the early years, alluding back to where I began. In the early years, as you can see me now, I'm very brown. However, when I was younger, I was what they call yellow. And before the yellow
boy,
I was albino boy. When I was 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I was albino-ish. And as I got older, it became yellow boy and then banana boy. And what I experienced... Yes.
I'm sorry. We know too much about each other. I was thinking about something. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I experienced from even my own brothers and sisters, which there were 8, they were all as dark as skin color, as dark as
Sambo here,
as dark as, and even some darker.
Okay.
And I was always the butt of every joke, the butt of every comment, the butt of every backhand, the butt of every someone tripping me, someone pushing me, kicking me. And I didn't do anything wrong, I thought, but be yellow. So I've never, for a long time, I was wondering, what did I do wrong? Why are they pushing me? Why are they kicking me? Why are they beating me? Why are they punching me? Why are they pinching me? I didn't do anything wrong. So this was my daily experience in school, from other kids, students, adults, teenagers, grown folks, and even the people that were supposedly my guardians, people that were getting paid good money, getting checks in the mail every single month to take care of and love their and golden rule their foster children. So I will stop there because the next phase was too traumatic to even share on camera. But as a preteen, this is what I experienced as one of the shades in the African American race, or the black race, or the yellow race, or the formerly enslaved race, whatever you want to call it. this is the term they use, colorism. However, it is far, far, far deeper than that term or word to use as colorism, because guess what? It is exponentially deeper and more hurtful than racism, I felt, coming from complete strangers of white people that I didn't even know. The racism and the hurt I got from my own brothers and sisters and guardians who were grown adults being paid, foster parents, to take care of me, the racism and abuse that I received from them, their excuse was always, that's just the way it is. That was the biggest lie and misnomer I had ever heard in my young life. I became from this the biggest and the baddest clown and 10-year-old cynic that Maya Angelou today would completely clap her hands and say, and still I rise, and still I rise. So what got me through probably that time was probably Maya Angelou, Michael Jackson, the Beatles, Donna Summer, and Selena. Yes, Selena. Come la flor. That's Selena. And for that I digress.
I'll share a personal experience because my brother here just went very deep and very personal. So I feel that I should match that with one of my own. So here goes. Growing up in New York City was a challenge for me on many levels. To start with, I was there during the era of the crack epidemic. If you don't know what that's like, there's a movie called American Gangster. It stars Russell Crowe and Denzel Washington. If you look at that movie, it'll give you a pretty good idea of what I was immersed in and attempting to survive. So that's just context. Personally, when I first got to New York City, I was an outcast because I refused to assimilate into the Black culture. At that time, they were calling it being hip. It later became the hip hop culture. But when, basically 70s, 80s, well, 70s, late 70s, it was hip. Then it became hip hop in the 80s. So I was basically an outcast among my peers because I looked like them, but I didn't dress like them, and I did not speak like them. I refused to assimilate the vernacular. Thank you, my brother. I refused it. It sounded uneducated to me, and I always wanted to sound educated. I wanted to sound intelligent. And for me to talk what my mother called at that time, that jive, I found it, and I'll be honest, I found it offensive. So I did not. There were those around me, and I won't, make any specifics, but there were those around me who immediately jumped in and assimilated. And that was fine. That was fine. For me, it wasn't. But I found myself at odds with my peers because it was very difficult for me to navigate amongst, the neighborhood kids, or, my neighbors, so to speak, especially the ones near my age. They called me names. One of those names was, and it has now become a term of endearment for me, but my first nickname in New York City was Bogus Bro. I know it sounds derogatory, but again, it had a two-prong implications. One, it was the level of respect you get from your peers. And the other one was sort of a backhanded admiration for what I represented. Anyway, it made it difficult because at that time, well, around that time, I started developing an interest in the opposite sex, which is girls. And it was challenging because my friends who assimilated the vernacular and, wear their pants across their ass and talk the talk, they had no problems getting these girls who were supposedly my friends, getting them to do, what they wanted them to do physically, or I should say sexually. With me, the excuse that I got was I was like a brother to them. And so I don't mean brother in the black sense of brother, but brother in the biblical sense. So I'll be honest with you. I never really had any self-esteem problems. I grew up knowing that I was a good-looking young man and then a good-looking man. So that was never, in question. The question for me was, why don't they find me attractive when I am attractive? And they would never really explain that to me. But I discovered something in riding the train, because in New York at that time, Manhattan was very segregated. From 110th Street to 145th Street belongs to the blacks. On the west side, from 110th Street to 116th Street was mostly Hispanics, but more so on the east side. I was having a problem finding dates within, my community, which was Harlem. But every time we would go on the train downtown and we would encounter, because that's where we would find white girls, they would either attempt to talk to me or they would strike a conversation up with me and we would talk. My friends started calling me a white chick magnet, but mature enough to figure it out. And I don't know, when I was about 17, light bulb shined on me. I recognized that I had no problems engaging white girls and get them to, conversate, and they would suggest that we do other things as well. Sexually, that is. And so that became sort of my go-to. I was like, well, the girls in my neighborhood won't have anything to do with me. I will venture elsewhere. I will venture white. And that's what I did. And, well, I'll just say this. It became a huge divide because the black girls who wouldn't have anything to do with me physically started calling me names because they would see me engage physically with white girls. I'm talking about public affection. So that was one of my dilemmas growing up with, not so much colorism, but prejudice.
I think I can take my glasses off of that. Wow. Because my experience in New York was completely the opposite. so to speak. I lived on 191st and Wadsworth. Completely different experience. When I lived in the Bronx, St. Mark's and Rogers, which was now considered was Jamaica town, and then I lived in Midtown Manhattan on 100th and Broadway. That was where you were supposed to be just straight up wealthy,
or of the Caucasian persuasion.
Yes. However, a woman who was like a grandmother to me, where I lived, right down the street from Central Baptist Church. Everyone knows where that is. It's still there. It's been there 200 years. Central Baptist Church. My grandmother then, who's called Mrs. Jenkins, she's passed away. She had been there because she was passed as literally white. She was the only one there for almost 50, 60 years because she passed as literally white. But she and people like her were the only reason we had, quote, representation below 121st Street, which is where we're supposed to stay. Remember?
Well, 110, really.
Yeah, 110. So I was on 100th in Broadway. Oh, no, I wasn't supposed to be there. But I had a multi-million-dollar flat when I was there because Mrs. Jenkins was there, passing as Lily White, working at Bergdorf and what was that sir? Bergdorf and I can't even say it now. Remember Bergdorf Gordman? Bergdorf?
Yeah, I remember Bergdorf, but I don't remember the other. Was it Goodman's?
Yes.
Okay.
So this was the store of stores then. But she worked there. But everyone and anyone believed that she was white. But she wasn't. She was 100% anatomically, mother and father, dark, but she came
they
out.
Produced a light-skinned child that could pass for white.
She came out white.
Mulatto.
Well, they say mulatto, but no, her hair was straight, no kink, no curl. She didn't wear no perm.
So for all intents and purposes, she was a white woman.
Yes, but no one knew that. But that was the only reason why. That was the only way I was able to live. Now, all the flats around us were multi-million-dollar flats with a doorman, the door hat, the suit, and everything. And I'm coming in now. This is what, 2005?
I was late.
2005, I wasn't supposed to be there. So I'm wondering when I'm walking in the door and they're getting the door for me and I'm later starting to hear things. And I wonder, why is this guy saying that? Or I hear the whispers. And it's still in 2005 that we're hearing things when we're in certain locations in certain areas. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, this guy doesn't know me. Why did he call me that? Or why is he treating me this way? I'm not talking about treating me good. I'm talking about condescending words. What are those other words they call code words? Code words for the Negro walking in. The black man's in here. Don't flush the toilet. We want him to stink when he gets in the bathroom. I learned these code words later. Why did he tell his man on the microphone XYZ? I learned all these code words later from white friends that were working with me in legal circles. Because I was a paralegal. When I was in New York, I worked as a paralegal at a paralegal school. I won't say the name, just to protect the innocent. But I worked as a paralegal. And I learned and heard code words in 2005 in the locations and places where we, in 2005, were not supposed to be. Or if we were not supposed to be there, we were hearing things and being treated certain ways from the white establishment and my brothers with darker skin. So I got it from both sides because I was coming in suited and booted, for lack of the term that a lot of people don't know. I was suited and booted because what? I was going into courtrooms representing as a paralegal. I have to be, suited and booted. So that's my experience. That's not even all, but for now, that's my New York experience. But still, look, in 2005, just with different shades of codes and colorisms and racism biases and prejudices from both sides in my personal experience. I digress.
We all have scars from our upbringings and we have triggers and things like that. But what I want to leave you with is this. We don't have to let those things create more stress in our lives and further participate in ruining our health. One of the things that I have been successful with is basically opening up myself, and this is what Coach would call doing the work. And we're going to hear a lot from Coach about doing the work over the course of this show. But for now, I would implore you to do the work. And when I say do the work, what I mean is this. Be real with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And I guarantee you, if you do that, you're basically going to see those things for what they are. And you're going to see how insignificant they really are as it pertains to what's important in your life now. We tend to hold on to things because I think some of us believe that we need that pain to A, never forget it, and B, we think that it will make us stronger because we have to survive it. I disagree. I say, put that pain down, let it go, move away from it. It's real estate that is unpaid for.
Living rent-free, he would say. Living rent-free in your head. They ain't paying no, not dang bill inside your head. Living rent-free in your head.
Let that pain go. This is Behind the Mic. I'm Indigo Martinez.
Coach Tymeri with you. We'll see you on the inside. See you soon.